A merciless drought engulfed Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, transforming vast plains into a sea of scorched grass, where life fought for every drop of moisture. Lakes dried up, leaving behind only cracked bottoms covered with white salt, and herds of antelopes and buffalo had to travel dozens of kilometers in search of life-giving water. In this harsh landscape, on cracked earth, lay a small lion cub with its head nestled against the body of its mother, who had not survived the cruel dry period, leaving her young alone on the vast savannas where death lurked around every corner. For 2 long days, the small lion cub huddled in the dry fur of its mother, making hoarse, desperate cries that mixed with the wind, carrying only the smell of death and destruction. The only response to its pitiful calls were the crows and vultures circling above, patiently waiting for their turn in this brutal cycle of nature. The burning sun and thick smoke from a distance exhausted its strength, but it still could not bear the thought of leaving its mother. It licked her cold, dry ears with hope that mother would open her eyes and could protect it again, but it met only painful, endless silence. Hunger made its stomach empty and aching, legs trembled with weakness, and tired eyes desperately searched for any grain of hope in this desert landscape. Finally, survival instinct forced it to leave the place, although its heart was still heavy with love for its dead mother. Every step on the dry earth was like a knife cutting through its small, emaciated body. It followed cracks in the earth, searching for a bit of stagnant water, but found only shallow puddles of mud that resembled sticky slime rather than drinkable water. The merciless sunlight made its eyes water and burn, forcing it to walk unsteadily in the stuffy, unbearable heat. The beating of its heart in its emaciated chest sounded like a death knell, but despite despair it still moved forward, because in its heart there still glowed the strong determination of a young warrior who did not want to give up without a fight. 3 days passed in this agony, and the small lion cub survived only thanks to a few sips of muddy water. Its body gradually weakened and grew thin. The once smooth fur became tattered, covered with scabs that revealed every protruding rib. Each step became heavier, eyes clouded, breathing rapid but weak like whispers of wind. Finally, it collapsed under a dry acacia tree, no longer having the strength even to cry, only gasping for breath in the face of its fate. A flock of vultures began circling above it, as if signaling that this small life was soon to end. The sun burned its body, making each short breath even more painful. It moved slightly, trying to lift its head, but there was no strength left. Its limp body could no longer rise. Dust covered its eyes and nose, making it even weaker, ears drooping in despair. For a moment it closed its eyes, ready to surrender and end its young life, but somewhere deep in its heart, there still glowed a weak hope that perhaps some miracle would come that would save it from this cruel death. Fate, however, had other plans, because on a patrol road 2 rangers from Serengeti National Park were driving through the dry area. They were defenders of nature, always looking for injured or exhausted animals during the drought period when death reaps the greatest harvest. Ranger Aisha Nairer suddenly spotted a small, motionless figure under a tree. She quickly signaled to her colleague to stop the vehicle, then hurriedly approached to check what it was. It was a lion cub, so emaciated that the sight tore her heart. Its body trembled, breathing was weak, eyes half closed, as if it had only the last breath of life left. Aisha quickly poured water from a red bottle, gently bringing it to the animal's dry mouth. The lion cub opened its eyes, its dry tongue licked every drop of water, as if grasping this fragile thread of life. She whispered to calm it, her trembling hands supporting its head so it could drink more. Her colleague opened a protective cloth, and together with Aisha, they gently lifted the lion cub. It was so weak that it had no strength to resist, only gently nestled against the chest of the person who was saving it. They quickly placed it in the rescue vehicle, driving anxiously straight to the conservation center. Aisha constantly checked on it, giving it more water on the dusty and hot road. The car stopped in front of the veterinary clinic, and the entire team quickly took the small lion to the emergency room. Aisha's eyes sparkled with hope. Maybe it had just found a chance at life. In the clinic, veterinarian Samuel Okoro urgently checked the lion cub's condition. He placed it on a metal table, measured its pulse, and checked every wound on its skin. Severe dehydration, an empty stomach for many days, and mange made it extremely weak. Samuel shook his head with concern, but insisted that there was still a chance if he intervened immediately. He connected an IV to its thin veins, hoping to restore some of the remaining vitality. Aisha stood beside, gently stroking and holding its paws to calm it while the IV was administered. The lion's breathing gradually stabilized, its eyes lightly closed as if finding some peace. Samuel whispered that the next 3 days would be very important. If it survived them, it would recover. Aisha nodded, her eyes determined, as if promising that she would not abandon this creature again. In the next 3 days, it ate several small pieces of meat, and its strength gradually returned. Samuel decided to entrust the lion cub to Aisha's care during the recovery period. Aisha took it in her arms, feeling the small life that had just received new hope. The lion cub was placed in a special cage in the care area of the Serengeti Rescue Center. Aisha brought a tray of fresh meat, sat beside, and gently fed it small pieces. Initially, it was hesitant, only sniffing the food, but then slowly began to chew and swallow. Gradually, with each passing day, it became more and more accustomed to Aisha's gentle presence and her soothing voice. She spent hours playing with it, using toys, imitating prey to encourage exercise. A young roar echoed in the cage, signaling that life was returning to its small body. After a week, it was already standing more confidently, beginning to run around the cage with shining eyes. Aisha smiled, watching as it bit and tugged at the fabric ball, full of energy. She patiently cleaned it and applied medicines to treat the mange, gradually restoring the smoothness of its fur. Colleagues admired her dedication, calling the lion cub Aisha's child. 2 weeks passed, its body was strong, eyes sharp like a young warrior. It ate its portions quickly and then made a low roar that echoed throughout the care area. Aisha knew it was time for the next stage, learning survival skills. She proposed moving it to a semi-wild enclosure to train in an environment close to nature. Everyone agreed and carefully prepared a plan for this turning point. The semi-wild enclosure was spacious with trees, bushes, and open terrain to help it get used to nature. When it first entered, the lion cub sniffed everywhere, its eyes curious but also alert. Aisha walked beside it, encouraging it with simulated hunting training. She taught it how to sneak, crawl low in the bushes, and quickly attack at the right moment. Initially, it didn't succeed. It was out of breath and discouraged, but Aisha patiently encouraged it. A few days later, it began to succeed, catching artificial prey and showing more confidence. Its muscular body, shining eyes, and graceful steps showed the courage of a future hunter. Aisha watched from a distance, her heart beating strongly when she saw the results of her constant efforts. Colleagues confirmed that just a few more months, and it would be ready to return to freedom. Aisha smiled, knowing that the day of separation would come, but her heart was full of pride and hope. One sunny morning, Aisha watched the lion cub playing in the semi-wild cage, full of strength. She knew that soon it would return to the majestic grasses of Serengeti, where it belonged. Its story became a testament to love, perseverance, and the power of rebirth in wildlife. Everything began with tragedy, a small lion cub orphaned by drought, which on the brink of death was found by people with big hearts. But thanks to Aisha's unwavering determination and her team, this story of sadness transformed into a tale of hope. Every day in the rehabilitation center was a step toward the ultimate goal, returning the young lion to where it could live as a wild, free predator. The process of returning to nature was carefully planned. The lion cub had to learn not only to hunt, but also to recognize threats, communicate with other lions, and survive in the difficult conditions of the savannah. Aisha knew that her role as a surrogate mother had its limits. She had to prepare it for life without human help. This was the hardest part of her work, but also the most satisfying. When the day of release into the wild came, Aisha stood on the edge of Serengeti, watching as her adopted child, for the first time in months, placed its paws on natural ground. The lion looked at her for a moment, as if thanking her for a second chance at life, and then slowly walked away toward the savannah, where its true destiny awaited. This was a moment of triumph of human kindness over the brutality of nature, proof that sometimes small gestures of compassion can change the course of an entire life.